It is a scam when you don't allow everyone to operate on fair terms.
We are the Robin Hoods of sports betting. We take something back from the rich bookies and enable our customers to beat them instead.
G'day everyone, welcome to episode 16 of Sunday Streams with Trademate Sports, where we answer your betting questions, discuss both new and old betting strategies, how to best use the Trademate Sports software, and welcome on guests from around the betting industry. But it'll just be me today. So lucky for all you guys, just be me here answering any of your questions you guys have, kind of giving you an update on how my betting has been going lately with Trademate and all sorts of other things. And I guess, we can discuss some good old betting strategies and see if we can, find something interesting to talk about. So, as I've mentioned before, please send through your questions at any point. Or if you just have any comments about what I'm saying, just, fly through anything. I want this to be a conversation, as you guys know. I know it's only just me talking, but I'd love input from every angle. It'd be superb. But before I get into it, quick disclaimer, as always, on this video and all the videos on our channel, I or no one else on this channel is a financial advisor. This is just educational content aimed at improving your sports betting. There is a risk of losing money when betting, and what choices you make with your money is completely up to you. All right, why don't we kick things off and have a look at my Trademate results, or at least an update of my Trademate results. So I reckon last time I left you guys, I would have been pretty far down. Like it would have been somewhere around here. I was on a pretty bad run. Maybe it was even down here, because I think it's been a while since I've done a little update. It's at least been a month, or probably been a month. Probably before the football season started. So, what we're talking about 300 bets ago, something like that I last gave an update. And I think what I would have talked about mainly was just like holes that I'd found in betting with Bet365, because one second, I'll just change this one. It looks a bit better. So you would have remembered maybe about a month ago, I went through and highlighted some of the problems I'd seen with Bet365, which were kind of bizarre results, because you would think that it doesn't really matter what bookmaker you bet with as long as they're soft. And if you are using the sharp markets as your benchmark, that it wouldn't really matter what soft bookmaker you're betting with, because you're obviously going to back the sharper bookmakers to have the more efficient odds. But through those big data analysis simulations that we went through, did several of them. It just didn't look like, especially on it was only the 1x2 and the over-under markets, especially 1x2, where our Bet365 results have been quite poor, or at least you have to take a higher minimum edge to be able to beat them. So after making those adjustments, which is probably about a month ago now, I mean, it's all kind of like short-term variance. But maybe we can look at my results from the last month. So let's say since the 2nd of August. So since I made those changes, I've gone on a pretty good run. I'm obviously doing better than expected. So I'm running, probably nearly three times my expected value. I would just ignore this line here. So closing line value, I'm at about 2,000, and I'm at profit of 600. Sorry, so yeah, good ROI, 7% ROI, but I am overperforming. So, but it just shows that it'd be interesting to see if I kept going with my old strategy and kind of taking most of the edges that come through on Bet365 to see if it would have been any different. But it doesn't really matter. You could be betting on just about anything in the world. Over 300 trades. Yeah, you could literally be betting on anything in the world. You could be just picking out any bet in the world, and over 300 bets you can be profitable. So this doesn't really say too much at the moment, but it's just, I think it's just quite coincidental that my results started going upwards. I would probably say that, like, if you look at my overall bets, I should be up here according to the software, but I'm all the way down here. So an upturn was going to happen at some point. I do think this is like untrue because I know I've accumulated quite a lot of EV through things that I know aren't plus EV in the long term after doing, analysis and stuff like that. Like a lot of those halftime over 0.5 goals in the first half. Those bets I've showed you guys a couple of times now that I don't think are actually plus EV at all. So there's a bit of non-value or whatever you want to call it in this number here. And then there's also the Bet365 results, which are just, they're just bizarre. I mean, we could think of, you could come up with a million reasons why, or not a million, but you know what I mean? You come up with a couple of speculations as to why the Bet365 results are like they are. But at the end of the day, there's no real definitive proof. Maybe you could, I don't know, maybe you could make a case that because Bet365 Asian handicap results have been really good, like really strong. It's been those over under and 1x2 results that have been poor. So maybe you could in general, maybe Asian handicap markets are a lot more efficient, or maybe the 1x2 markets are not efficient. We could come up with all these theories, but I mean, you'd have to say for the most part that the 1x2 markets are pretty bloody efficient, especially in those recommended leagues where there's high liquidity. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, since making the changes, it's been really good. Obviously, betting less on those 1x2 markets for Bet365, or at least, why don't we have a look actually? Because it's also quite interesting that the results I've had on Bet365 since I made those changes. So I'm going to say it was around here. Soccer 1x2 and over under. Yeah, let's say that. And guys, any questions you have, please send them through. All right. So ever since I made the changes, obviously a bloody good ROI. But the interesting part is that the edge isn't that big. The average closing edge isn't that big. So this is like, I mean, it's 70 trades, so not too much to look into here, but 5.1% all the way down to 1.5. That's a pretty crazy bit of variance there, if you get what I mean. So there's still, I think there is still an issue here. So I mean, at the moment, I'm basically using whatever the recommended presets are for Bet365 on the article that we post to everyone when they first start Trademate, the like 10-step process to getting started with Trademate. All the presets are posted there if you're wondering what I'm using. But yeah, I mean, this is something that I'm going to keep monitoring week by week, because I'm still like, that's just it's a big discrepancy, isn't it? It's over 4%. So, I mean, still have an edge, but like I'd rather that that swing not be that big, because then you're just going to have issues with your staking, I guess, because you're staking based on this edge here. So I'm going to be putting some big numbers down on a average 5% edge placed, and then it's going down to 1.5. So you're essentially over staking. But yeah, something to keep an eye on. If you maybe we want to have a look at the Asian handicap results as a comparison. Haven't done many of them. 32 only in the last month, but they're a lot more steadier, aren't they? 3% average closing edge. Yeah. I don't know what on earth is going on here. There must be some problem here, but that's obviously wrong. I'll have to get that checked out later. But yeah, guys, send through any questions you've got on any of this, any comments you've got. Maybe you've had similar results. I think the main thing is just normally we wouldn't go through and have a look at certain bookmakers and try and adapt presets for a bookmaker, because 99% of the time, or maybe 95% of the time, it's not relevant, because the soft bookmakers are not as sharp. So you'd rather be following the smart money on the sharps. So, but for Bet365, the thing is it's such a huge bookmaker, isn't it? Like, every one of our customers can use Bet365 just about. I mean, there might be a couple of countries where you can't use them, but just about all of our customers will be using Bet365. So it's really important that, that everyone's aware of the problems there. But looking at like the other bookies that I can use here in Australia, the results are like, they're completely fine. So, I mean, I've done all this testing myself, but these are the other two bookies that I'm using at the moment here in Australia, and they're going swimmingly. And if you look at all the historical data, like, I can bet it's actually quite interesting, and something that I think or at least when I first started working for Trademate in the past year or so, I've always said, or we always recommend, that you should only bet on games when there's 0 to 8 hours before kickoff, which is a great bit of advice. Like, I'd still try and do that as much as possible, but for people that are living in places like Australia, and we're in a completely different time zone, maybe Americans too, you can open up those presets. So my average time before kickoff in the last month, let's just say, the last month I've placed 260 trades, and they're an average of 20 hours before the game. And there are my results, and there's my close. I mean, this is the most important thing. So, like, even though I'm betting so far away from kickoff, not so far away, based on just market movements, like, I'm still beating the market by 3.2%, or at least I'm beating the sharpest bookmakers by 3.2%. So it just shows that even if you do live in like the UK or Europe, as you guys know, the soccer's like our main sport, or the one we get most trades come through on. You should, I would just maybe experiment with opening up your presets a little, maybe more than 8 hours before kickoff, or also some of you probably have it down to like 5 hours before kickoff. So feel free to open it up. If you get a month of the big data tool, have a look around and see what we've got. Maybe just open up a preset for longer than 8 hours before kickoff, but set a high minimum edge or something like that. So you can track some of those big movements. Because the problem is, if you're betting 8 hours before kickoff, you're probably going to get lots of edges that are smaller, and sometimes they're going to be harder to get on because bookmakers or traders are more vigilant, I guess, as it gets closer to kickoff, and they're going to change their odds a lot quicker compared to what the market's doing. But if you're betting like a day before kickoff or 2 days before kickoff, traders are probably more focused on the events that are about to happen or happening at the moment. So yeah, things to ponder for everyone out there. The college football season has started. American football, this is, and then the NFL starting this weekend coming up. So that's another sport where it's good to probably do some analysis before it starts, because it's probably not one of our strongest sports, American football. Like, we're obviously profitable over a long term, but I think it's a good time to have a look around and just see like how Trademate's performing in various markets. Over unders, handicaps or spreads, money lines, all that kind of stuff, and just see where Trademate's doing well. A lot of professional sports bettors, sorry. A lot of professional sports bettors that I've talked to on the podcast. Sorry. Oh. They have mentioned to me that they like to use BetCris, which is an American bookmaker. I don't know if they're American actually, but they like to use them as their benchmark, I guess. If they're measuring whether they've gotten closing line value, they think they've got the most efficient odds on American football, baseball, basketball, NBA, all that stuff. So we don't use BetCris as a benchmark. So one thing I would recommend for betting on American football and any American sports really is maybe before a bet comes up on Pinnacle, sorry, not Pinnacle, on Trademate, that have a look at what BetCris's odds are at and see if they're at like something lower than what you're about to bet on. Then maybe it's a good move to go and bet on it. But if BetCris are higher, then maybe I'd stay away from it. I think I've got no experience betting American sports, but just from what I've been told by all those professional sports bettors that are American, or podcasts that I've listened to too. So I think it's something worth checking before you go and place any bets on the American football coming up. But I think that's all I was going to go through with my Trademate results. I guess overall it just shows that, like, generally, like, there was a point where I was, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 in profit. It was somewhere around here, and I was far below my expected value. So I guess I'm $15,000 below my expected value. So I guess it just shows that big samples is what matters the most. So you can't really judge my last month's results and say that I'm a genius, but you can judge big sample sizes, and this is quite a big sample size now. I think if I'm going to run to my EV, that I should go up more, probably because I know a lot of this is not EV, at least I don't think it is. So I would say maybe my true expected value is maybe $15,000. That's just a rough number. So I still think that I'm running below where I should be. And but yeah, hopefully I can get up there soon. That would be tremendous. International break, so not many trades this week, but hopefully once all the European leagues are back, we'll get some more trades in. But that's all my Trademate stuff. If you guys got any questions, send them through. I don't know if everyone's very quiet today. This is a rarity, I would say. No one is sending any questions through, or maybe something's broken here, but I cannot see any questions at all. So I am going to assume that no one gives a shit about anything that I am saying. And I will just carry on. This is my results from, you might remember a couple of months ago. I had on Dan Abrams, and he talks about the neutral hedge gambit. So it's basically like placing accumulators. And let's just say you place a double, the first leg wins. They're plus EV accumulators, and then if the first leg wins, you hedge off your liability, or you hedge off a part of your liability over the second leg. So I've been doing this and just seeing how it goes. I've been enjoying it for the most part. I got through it was a pretty rough start, but I mean, we're talking about odds of 4.73, 6.85. Like, it's expected that I will lose. And then the last two I've kind of done some smaller odds ranges. But something really interesting happened with this one that I won. So I lost my first three neutral hedge gambits. The funny thing was, so you've got leg one, and so after leg one, you are supposed to go in and hedge out for the second leg. So I was pretty unlucky because in each of these first three cases, I should update this. As you can see, the first leg lost and the second leg won. So if it was around the other way around, I would have profited on all of these bets here. So I was just unlucky that it's not like both legs lost. It was the one of them won, and it was the second leg. So, yeah, that was a shame. But this one is the first one where both legs won. And the interesting thing was, I did not even hedge out of this second leg. So what happened was, first leg valid, draw no bet, that one. And so I think this was like this leg here. It was something like 1.3 in odds. So let's just write that down. So I've bet on, this is one here, and then this leg comes up. So I'm looking to hedge out and bet on the other team that they were playing, which I couldn't tell you what their name was. I can't remember. Yeah, but I'm looking to bet on them -1. And what happened was, you do this, basically this thing here to go through and there's a better article on this on our blog explaining exactly how to perform the neutral hedge gambit. But basically, I did all the calculations for what my hedge should be on the other side. And the funny thing was that the other bet was so negative EV because this one had come in so much. Like, it went from 1.3 all the way down to like 1.15 true odds. So the hedge that they wanted me to place was, using all the calculations, was like minus something. So in this case, it was actually recommending to not place a hedge because there was so much expected value that it overrode the expected growth of the other leg. I mean, this is all really confusing stuff, but to simplify it, this second leg moved in so much that it didn't make sense to even have a hedge and to, I guess, risk it all. But like it made no mathematical sense or expected growth sense to hedge out. So there's yeah, that's the easiest way to say it. But overall, I'm down $1,000. These accumulators are quite they're quite big stakes because I guess that's just how the neutral hedge gambit works. They're normally going to recommend quite big stakes. But yeah, in the long term, it will work out. I will just need to keep placing them. It's just a bit hard to remember when you're when you're betting on just all the Trademate edges and stuff to remember to, and you got to find games where there's a gap in between. That's the hard part too. So you've got enough time to go in and place the hedge. Whereas you guys in Europe, or people who are watching from Europe, it's really easy for you guys because I'm asleep between all the soccer games. So if you guys are, you might get a game at 2:00 and a game at 5:00. So if the first leg wins, you can just go and do all the hedging in between the games. Whereas, I'm asleep throughout all of that. So it's impossible. So I have to find games on different days. Anyway, we have a question here from Benno Schmidt. He says, if you find a good strategy at Bet365, is it correct to say that this strategy will work in all bookmakers? I mean, I guess so. The weird thing about Bet365 is, like, I would back the efficiency of the sharp bookies over Bet365. So I could say this about kind of any bookmaker, really. Like, if you find a good strategy against one soft bookmaker, it's probably going to work against all soft bookmakers, if you get what I mean. But as the results have shown, Bet365 we're underperforming at Bet365 if you take the same strategy across all bookmakers and apply it to all bookmakers, where it's showing that we're not doing that well at Bet365 compared to the other bookmakers. If you raise that minimum edge and bet with Bet365 and just switch up your strategy a bit, dependent on the betting market, Asian handicap over under, it's showing that we can do better with Bet365. So you would think that, yes, if you improve your strategy for Bet365, do the things that I've recommended the last month or so, taking a high minimum edge in over-under markets, 1x2 markets, then applied that to all the other bookmakers, then you should be fine, because I'm taking much smaller minimum edges at the other bookmakers and almost doing better than I do with Bet365. So I guess so, mate. But yeah, to answer your question, the answer is yes, Benno. But I think you can take a weaker strategy, if you want to say that, like a smaller edges strategy across other bookmakers, and be maybe even more profitable. You've just got to, for Bet365. I mean, the thing is, this Bet365 case could be the same for other bookmakers too. Like, I can just pluck out a random bookmaker. Let's just say Betway or something. I mean, I can't use Betway, but let's just, Betway could randomly be the same. We could have the same results with them too. Like, for some reason, we just can't beat their 1x2 market, or whatever, and have a random occurrence like we do with Bet365. But the reason why we've highlighted Bet365 as being a problem is because obviously there is a problem there, but most importantly, that everyone will be using Bet365. But I think because they're available in every country, but I think this is just, I mean, if I had to guess, I could be completely wrong, but I would be guessing that it's an anomaly. Bet365 just somehow not having good results against them, and that 95% of soft bookmakers, you can just use our standard guidelines, standard presets, and do well. Bit of a long-winded answer to answer your simple question, but oh yeah, the answer is yes. And yeah, we'll leave it there. But good, someone's asked a question. Bloody hell, everyone's quiet today. All right. The other thing I was going to go through was, yeah. Now, this is a really betting on your favorite teams. I think this is a very interesting topic because most people will tell you do not bet on your favorite team. Or, I mean, they say it because there's so much bias involved. But if you are very unbiased towards your team and I guess analytical in a way and understand your team's strengths and weaknesses and don't get caught up in the whole like it's my team because they're my team, I think they can win every game and kind of get blinded in a way. Then that can be an issue. But for me, or I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I know that for myself that I can look at my own teams that I support and watch every single game. I can look at them like pretty analytically and have no bias at all and accurately predict the outcome of a game, or at least how I think it will go. I'm not saying I can predict all the games. I'm just saying that I know that I can look at a game straight down the middle with no bias on either side and then have an opinion on whether I think my team will win or lose or how they might do stylistically, etc., etc. But I think the good thing about betting on your favorite team is they're probably the teams you know the best. Like you literally know everything about them. You know every member of the squad. You know who's injured, who's not, how they perform against certain teams. Let's just say, for me, Arsenal, I know how they perform generally against a team like Burnley versus a team like Manchester City. I know how they're going to tactically be set up. I know what players are probably going to play. Yeah, so I know what the club are doing in the transfer window. I know that the new players coming in, let's just say they signed Tomiyasu on deadline day. Like a Chelsea fan, a Manchester City fan, a general Manchester City fan, or whatever fan from another team, probably has never seen Tomiyasu play before. They wouldn't have a clue how good he is, what he's good at, what he's bad at, etc. They're probably just gonna maybe they'll read it. I mean, doubt they'll do any kind of research for the most part. But I guess what I'm getting at is that for me as an Arsenal fan, what I do when we get a new signing is I read as much content as I can on that player, get opinions from everywhere, from the teams that he's played with, he's Japanese international, how he's been going with them, how he's been going with Bologna, etc., etc. What kind of player he is. So I've probably spent an hour or two understanding the player, watching video on him, how he plays. whereas no other fan would do that. So the overall thing I'm getting at here is that, like, I know a lot about Arsenal, and I can apply that knowledge. Like, I'm not studying Arsenal um, because I just want to study them for fun. Like, I study them from my heart. Like, I love the team, so I spend lots of time learning about Arsenal, watch all their games. So I have a lot of knowledge about Arsenal. So when people say don't bet on your favorite team, it's good advice, because I know most fans, or a lot of fans at least, are very biased with their own team, and they can't look at them with, a straight, no bias at all. But I know that I can. So I like to bet on Arsenal, or I mean, bet. I could always bet against Arsenal too, but I don't want to bet. I only bet for Arsenal when I know that the odds are not right. Because I don't really want to sit down and bet on, Manchester City to beat Arsenal, because I think Manchester City's odds are too high. And then because I want Arsenal to win, and I just don't want to have any part of me thinking, oh, it'd be good if Manchester City won. You know what I mean? So any opportunity I see to bet on Arsenal, where I think the odds are wrong, I'll take it, because I know I can see it categorically. So here is an example of where it can all go well. So I've got I've got another Trademate account where I just track my other football bets that I do, not from Trademate, but from just outside of Trademate, my soccer bets that I place. So this was the EFL game where Arsenal won 6-0 against West Brom. Now, I got a 50% edge on this game, which is fucking huge. So I bet on this game 24 hours beforehand. I know it says 50% edge when I placed it, but it was just because I logged it in Trademate after the game finished, because I'm a bit slow at doing that. But basically what happened was, as we all know, Arsenal produced a pretty strong lineup, or just about their strongest lineup, very, very close to it. And West Brom fielded, I think, they fielded like an under 21s, under 23 side or something like that, basically like their second string lineup. But about 24 hours before kickoff, you could bet on Arsenal -1 at 199, and that was on Pinnacle, I'm pretty sure. And I knew because Arsenal have got no European games this season. They're not in any European competitions, and all we have is the Premier League and the Cups. I think, and also like guys like Aubameyang hadn't played a game, Lacazette hadn't played yet. They were just coming back from injury. I knew that Arsenal were going to field a strong lineup, and even if Arsenal didn't, and they fielded like an A/B team, like a bit of a mixture, I just knew that they weren't going to go and field like their under 23s or under 21s. Or, I mean, that would be kind of interesting, because most of us, Arsenal's best players are under 23. But if they went and picked their second team anyway, it's a lot stronger than West. Well, I mean, it's probably mostly stronger than West Brom. So there are a lot of players in Arsenal that are at a similar level to the first team. Like, there's not there's not much of a difference. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that I knew that Arsenal were gonna, or I could predict that Arsenal were going to put out a strong lineup. And on the other hand, West Brom they were like second in the championship at the time. I don't know what they are now, but they're favourites to. They're either favourites or second favourites to win the championship. They are vying for promotion in the Premier League. So their main focus is on the championship and winning the championship or getting promoted to the Premier League, and Arsenal's focus is going to be more centered on cup competitions this year because their only chance of winning a trophy. They're not going to win the Premier League. Their only chance of winning anything is EFL or also the FA Cup. So I knew we were going to field a strong lineup. Saw the odds of -1 at 1.99. And I don't think we'll get pre-match odds, will we? Because I think it all expires in our system after a certain amount of time. But I think it closed. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Bob's your uncle. Oh, sorry. By the time it kicked off, Arsenal -1 at Pinnacle was 129. So it's a huge edge. It's bloody huge edge. I mean, I wish I put more money on it because it's, you rarely ever get an edge like that. But yeah, it just shows that if you can, that you can use your knowledge of your own team to your benefit. And the same thing happened last week with the rugby team that I follow on the Gold Coast, the Gold Coast Titans. They did the exact same thing. They released the odds for that one. The Titans were not favourites. And I thought they either should have been slight favourites or it was a 50-50 game. So I bet on the Titans plus 1.5 points or something like that. And they closed at I think they closed at -2.5. So, we're talking about 4 points on the handicap profit there too. So I think profit, but value. So yeah, I think you guys are understanding what I'm saying is that if you can look at your teams or the teams that you follow really closely with a straight eye, no bias involved, you can definitely find some profitable angles there for yourself. And if you understand how betting odds work, and you're not just saying like, I think Arsenal will beat West Brom. Look at the odds, and Arsenal might be like 1.25 or something like that. Like, you need to understand that, what odds and probabilities and how that represents. But if you're someone that spent a lot of time in the betting game and you understand odds and probabilities and where certain teams should be at, etc., then you can kind of look at odds and say, oh, it doesn't look right, pretty quickly, and then apply your knowledge of, where you think it will close or what kind of team Arsenal will put out, whatever. And you can make some pretty educated decisions there. So yeah, if you can remove bias, I think you should bet on your favorite teams. Either way, I just don't bet on Arsenal or the Titans or whatever against them in betting markets because I want, it's a hobby of mine to sit down and watch a game. I want to, I don't want any part of me not wanting my team to win. So yeah, Donny Brasco. Sorry, mate, it's taken me a while to get to this question. Is betting on away with odds over 5 always plus EV? No. I assume you mean just betting on any away team that that have odds of 5 or more always plus EV. I assume that's what you're asking. No, mate. I mean, you have to take every game as its own separate entity. If the away team with 5, the away team at 5 in odds, let's just say that's representing a 20% chance of winning the game. If there's no VIG, then if you think they're a better chance than 20% of winning the game, 25%, etc., then you should bet it, obviously. But if that odds of 5 is they're actually not a 20% chance of winning, they're probably like an 18 or a 17% chance of winning, then you shouldn't bet on it. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is that no, I think you have to take it case by case. Every match is different. You might, let's just say Arsenal are playing Liverpool this weekend. Arsenal are away to Liverpool, 5 in odds, with 4 hours before kickoff. That could blow out to 6 in odds, let's just say, or 5.5. And the market on the sharpest bookmakers closes at that. That means you have made a negative EV bet. You've made a bad bet because you are, you're betting on something lower than its implied probability. Andre Lewis says you can use some kind of stream to watch the games. Oh, you use some kind of stream to watch the games. Yeah, I mean, we've got all sorts of providers here that stream the Premier League and the whatever other sports. Streaming's a joke nowadays, though, isn't it? Like, I don't know what it's like for you guys in Europe or wherever everyone's watching from, but it's a bloody joke nowadays. The amount of streaming platforms that stream all the different sports, it's rubbish. We've got different streaming platforms for every single sport over here. So if you follow a couple of sports, you have to subscribe to every friggin' streaming platform if you want to watch your favorite teams or whatever favorite leagues. So it's not fair at all. Be good if it was all just amalgamated onto one platform. I guess it's the same thing in with like Netflix and whatever the other ones are that you can stream on. There's not just one, there's a million of them. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that today. If anyone's got any more questions, send them through now because I will start to wrap things up. I haven't got much else to say today. So if you guys got any questions, please send them through right now or I will leave you all. While you guys are on the stream, if you've enjoyed it today, please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. That would be tremendous. As always, you guys know that we're getting out, 3 or 4 videos a week for you guys, trying to get as much content out as possible. Make everyone profitable sports bettors. It's always nice. So, give the stream a like, subscribe to the channel, click the bell if you want to get a notification every time we post a video. And a last call for questions. Next week, I'll be back. And if I've got my dates right, I believe Pete Ling is going to come on Sunday streams next week, who's the owner and founder of Smart Betting Club, who you might have heard of before. We've had Pete on the podcast about a year and a half ago. So they're a tips to verification service, along with lots of other things. They've got lots of great betting content too. They've got their own podcast, which I recommend to listen to. And yeah, so Pete will join along. I've got lots of questions for him about. Obviously, I asked him a lot of questions about a year and a half ago about tipsters and verifying tipsters and blah, blah, blah. So I've got lots of, I guess, updated questions for him. And you guys feel free to, it's basically a live Q&A. So you guys will have plenty of questions for him too. So make sure you guys tune in next week and ask Pete some questions. Great fella, really smart mind in betting. He's got a lot to offer, Pete. So I would highly recommend to listen to that. And if you can't make it, you can obviously, it'll be at the same time next week. If you can't make it, you can always watch it back later, or you can listen to the audio, which I'll release on our podcast channel too. But I don't see any questions coming through, guys, so we can call it a day there. As I've said before, please like, subscribe to the channel. Working hard to to get as much content out to you guys as possible. But that's only possible if you guys show a friend, and we get lots of views and etc. etc. So there's a threat for you, and with that, I will leave you. Been a pleasure. Hopefully, you guys have learned something today, and I will see you.
It is.